Welcome to lesson 18 of an introduction to marketing. In this module we are going to be talking about marketing automation. Marketing automation. So the question is, why is marketing automation so important? Well, a good place to start would be with Jay Abraham, who is known as the billionaire maker, and his principles, evergreen, age-old, proven principles of growing your business. Jay Abraham says that there are only 3 ways to grow your business. Number 1, you increase the number of customers. Number 2, you increase how often they buy. And number 3, you increase how much money they spend with you. So achieving these 3 principles is therefore all about sales, ultimately. Now I say ultimately is because it's not as simple as just saying, okay, sell, 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 and we'll achieve these things. You've got to sort of journey over there, but we also want to make sure that your company has a selling mindset, albeit an ethical one. Now that last bit isn't much fun for me to talk about, but there is just so much pressure on organizations and salespeople to sell. I believe that sometimes organizations fall into that trap of maybe not really putting the interests of the person who is buying at their heart, So you've got to make sure that when we are selling, we have that selling mindset all the time, but it's an ethical one. And interestingly enough, Jay Abraham always says, look, if you are very clear that what you have is going to help somebody, you have a moral obligation to sell to them. So that should help you feel better, as it does me. So there you are the salesperson. And the most effective way to sell is one-to-one. The next best way to sell is selling one-to-many. But the thing is, when you sell one-to-many, you would use various media. Or as Dan Kennedy says, the more tools that you have in the toolbox, the better. Now, we touched on integrating your media via this business card case study. So here was the business card. On the back was the offer to get some free training and going to a web page. You go to that web page and you see you can enter your email address and also put some tracking on the page there. And that selling one-to-one is in person or on the telephone. And therefore selling one-to-many is using the various integrated media. So next, what we do is we automate the entire process. So why is marketing automation so important? Well, first of all, we really need to narrow down on what exactly is marketing automation. Now, smartinsights.com came up with a really great definition of marketing automation, and it says marketing automation enables businesses to automate tasks and workflows for the marketing and sales process, including prospect and customer profiling on landing pages, lead scoring, sending automated personalized emails and web recommendations to support lead nurturing and customer engagement. So in a nutshell, what we're saying is that the people we want to attract are on a journey, and we use automation to help them along that journey, regardless of the stage they're at. But there are some mistakes made with marketing automation, and the first one is, you look at this graphic here that I found online, and it says marketing automation, choosing the right tool. And that is not actually the case, because with marketing automation, what you want to do right from the very beginning is you need to choose the right strategy. Choose the right strategy, and then you can match the tool to what you need. Automating a bad or unclear strategy will only make matters worse and could end up being very, very expensive for you. So what we're saying is that if we do sort of follow the lead here about choosing the right tool first, if we don't have a clear strategy, or if we actually just have a poor strategy, using automation will just make it worse, and it would end up being very expensive as well. So we just don't really want that situation. So when we talk marketing automation, mistake number 1, when people start looking at the tools, I always say, well, which tool or tools exactly? Now, there was a graphic by a very, very sharp digital marketer called Scott Brinker, and I like to call this graphic Take Your Pick, because actually in here these are all the tools that Scott had counted up to sort of March 2016 that were on the marketing technology landscape. And when you look here, look at that, 3,874 marketing technology solutions. So you move down, you see there's been an 87% growth over 1 year. So you've got to be very careful sometimes when you do sort of say choose the right tool, because where are you going to start? You're going to pick from 3,800 plus tools and counting. So when we look at automation with the first things first, I like to say only automate what you've already done physically that you know works, and you need to scale that process. So let me give you an example. Something I think a lot of businesses can relate to is postage. You might have a letter, you might have 100 letters, you might have 1,000 letters, and once upon a time you would write those letters yourself, and then you would take them to the post office and send them yourself. Okay, so an idea of automation might be getting a fulfillment house to do that with you, but it is something that you've already done physically. You know yourself. Once you have the letters, you can take them along and you can send them. So you say, okay, I have done this, I know it works, now you can automate that process. And another place I like to start with is the sales loyalty ladder. Okay, now we start with a suspect. A suspect is somebody who we kind of aware of what we have, and that we want to attract them because we think we can help them with what we have, but they haven't yet held up their hand to say, yes, send me something, or I'm interested, or made an inquiry. A prospect, on the other hand, has. A prospect would have downloaded a coupon, they would have called a number, they would have made an inquiry. A customer is more along the lines of a one-off sale. Okay, they've bought from you once. A client becomes someone who buys regularly, so it could be a regular one-off client. And what I mean by that is that they buy something and then they come back a month or two later, or they come back 3 or 4 months later. They're a client. Or it might be someone in one of these recurring revenue things like a membership, or even something like some people have Netflix and different things like that. So that's a client. A client is a regular buyer from you. And then you've got an advocate, somebody who just knows you, likes you, trusts you, and they even start doing some marketing for you and speaking on your behalf. So when we look at an overview of the sales process, then by going back to that sales loyalty ladder, we've got the one-to-one selling, we've got the one-to-many selling, and we've got the various use of media. But one size will never fit all. You cannot be saying the same thing to a suspect as you'd be saying to a client, as you'd be saying to an advocate. So therefore you need to create automation that is relevant to the journey of your specific target audience. And then we move over and we sort of say to ourselves, well, why? Why is marketing automation so important? Well, I bring it down personally to the bare bones of it, because stuff gets in the way. And I just look at us as people here, okay? We are not perfect human beings, nor do we have to pretend to be. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's go to Mr. Drucker. We haven't heard from him for a while, but Peter Drucker said that efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things. Okay? Efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things. So you walk into your office, your place of work, one morning, and you want to follow up on some leads that are on your table, right? Then you are being effective, okay? Because you're doing the right things. You have resisted the temptation to actually go online, check your email, check your phone, watch some YouTube videos, go and send some things here and there, clean the office up, fix the fax machine, all right? You're being effective because you're doing the right things. Then efficiency is doing things right. So you may get the leads, you may call somebody and they are not there. You get the voicemail and you sort of say, okay, hi, you had made an inquiry about this, I just wanted to follow up and I'll call you back later. You put the phone down, then somebody knocks at the door and all this other stuff starts getting in the way. So just bear with me on this, because with automation you can be effective and efficient. So you should automate because it saves time, saves money, it can multiply the results that you get. It eliminates human error, okay, because as people we are going to make mistakes. It is a great solution to laziness. I don't know about you, but some days I just get up and it just feels as though there is very, very little in the tank. And it removes self-imposed bottlenecks. Remember what I said about you've left a message on the phone, then someone knocks on the door, and all of a sudden, you just sort of not able to follow up in the way that you wanted. So really, what I'm trying to say is that we mustn't leave the well-being of your business and what is ultimately the overall welfare of you and those you care about, your family, the employees, to chance, okay? And it's a very, very important thing that, because so many things can happen, but by automating you can avoid that. So when we start looking at some examples in the way of automation, let's use the sales loyalty ladder as a reference point for that. So when you have a suspect, you can offer free content via a social media link. That content can be available in exchange for an email address. You can send the content immediately. The suspect is then tagged as a prospect, so they've moved along in that ladder. You can offer a low-cost sale via the thank you page, and you can test, you can track, you can report, and you can measure, all via automation. And by the way, the last bullet point, testing, tracking, reporting, measuring, you're going to see it on the next page as well, because now somebody is a prospect. So how can you automate that experience for a prospect? Well, you can be notified yourself when you have a new prospect. So when someone signs up for something or someone makes a request for something, you have that notification. You can then follow up with additional value, so you know that they had requested one thing, but you're able to go to them and say, right, would you like this second thing? Would you like something else? You can sell a product, a service, or a program because they've already held their hand up to say they're interested in something. So now you can go for a sale. You can tag them as a customer or they remain as a prospect. And depending on which category they fall in, the follow-up will go along that way. And you can assign warm leads to the sales team. This is one of the beautiful things about it, and I think a lot of business owners sometimes have unrealistic demands on their sales teams because there are no warm leads. They can't tell the difference, but via automation the sales team can actually say, look, this person has requested this, or this person has downloaded this, or this person did go to the sales page but they didn't buy. Maybe give them a quick call. And once again, you can test, track, report, and measure all of that. So now all of a sudden you have a customer, and you can immediately upsell or cross-sell. You can follow up those who abandoned the cart, so they went to the cart but they did not buy. Via some coding, you're able to then put different ads and follow-ups in front of them. You can welcome your new customer and begin the actual onboarding sequence. You can really begin to implement customer care, plus beginning to move them from that customer to client in the way of repeat business. For a client, you can gauge their level of satisfaction. Hi, how is everything? Was it to your expectation? Are you finding it easy? Are you finding it frustrating? Depending on what they're doing. You can contact clients with billing issues. So maybe the card didn't work, or they've been a little bit late sending a check in, or however they want to do it. You can send birthday greetings. I think this can be very, very effective. You find out, particularly when you begin to 80-20 your list, you can maybe find out who are our most valuable customers. You've got a birthday, you can either do it via an email, or even better still, you could have that same fulfillment house send them a little gift. You can generate repeat sales and proactively follow up inactive clients. Now, this is a very big one, because I've often seen in the past where people don't use bits of software. They might get a free trial and they don't use it, and then when it's time to sort of either pay or leave, they leave. and they leave because they say, well, I haven't tried it. So via automation, what you can do is you can follow up and notice that they haven't been using it and say, look, I see you're on the free trial, but you haven't actually logged in yet. Is there anything we can help you with? And by the way, all these processes, when we say automation, they can be done where you can set them up in a way where you don't have to individually do it time after time after time. And then you have the advocates. You can ask them for referrals, you can seek strategic partners, you can do joint venture opportunities, you can provide sales and marketing material. So let's say somebody says, yes, I would like to work with you, and then every 5 minutes they're calling to say, oh, could I have some images, or can I have your logo, or could I have your price list? You can do this all in an automated way. You can pay your affiliates, and once again, there is the testing, the tracking, reporting, and measuring. There is a shopping cart. I won't mention them because I try and be very neutral here, but one of their really big unique selling propositions is that they can pay instant commissions. So once somebody refers you on, if someone buys, they can actually get paid then and there. There's no 30, 60, 90 day delay on it, and I think it's a very, very good thing, and it's all done in an automated fashion. So when we do move over to those 3 ways with our business, we're actually applying marketing automation to grow our business in the way Jay Abraham so clearly articulated we need to. So marketing automation will help you save time, increase result predictability. It allows you to scale and leverage. It helps individually tailor your processes. You can tactically implement your sales and marketing. You can eliminate those human tendencies, reduce overwhelm, and you can prevent that one-size-fits-all scenario that gets so many organizations unnecessary into trouble. Marketing automation will also help you to deliver content, segment accurately and appropriately. You'll be able to provide routine customer service, but you'll also be able to demonstrate first-class customer care, and there is a difference. You'll be able to communicate to your various teams about when to follow up, or if someone's had billing issues, or somebody's left a message to say that they can't do something. You can monitor the overall customer behavior on the journey. You'll be able to overcome your own time constraints, but over and above everything else, you'll be able to work on your business and not in it. So, some final words about marketing automation. The first one is avoid the tools and technology mindset. Stop thinking straight away that, okay, I've just got to really sort of start looking at all these tools and deciding based on here and based on that, because as I said, you will spend a long time just going from one to another. You also want to avoid the set it and forget it mentality, because the purpose of your automation is actually so you can be even more personal. Alright, so don't think that I'm going to automate and then I'll never talk to a client, or I'll never, sort of be congruent with where they are on a journey, because that is not the case. You also want to automate real one-to-one situations. Okay, so what you need to be doing is emulating human interaction. Alright, you've got to just almost say, what would I say to somebody if I was phoning them? Or what would I say to them if I was sitting here right in front of them? And that's what you've got to do with your automation. And then you've got to make your marketing behavioral. Okay, ask yourself, what do we as a business want? And what does the recipient of this marketing automation expect? And of course, you must take action. Okay, don't try and be too fancy or too efficient or too slick with your automation. It will come, but you must get started. And I love this acronym, ACT. Action changes things. So get automating. And coming up in lesson 19, we're just going to sort of relax a little bit, and we'll go over some marketing books and marketing legends, some of the people that have really proven themselves to be terrific at this fascinating topic of marketing, and you have an opportunity to study and learn more and get better. So we will speak to you in lesson 19.